All right, fashion dolls, and we just finished our very first show for today with Elijah Lamar. We are back for our second show. Joining me today, fashion dolls, our very special guest has been on shows such as FBI Most Wanted, Law and Order SVU, and FBI. So we are back with our second show for today, fashion dolls. So without further ado, let's welcome our very special guest here in the dollhouse, Tom Paolino, fashion dolls. Hi, Nurse Chula. Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. We are back with our second interview for today. You guys just got the first one with Elijah Lamar, which is up. And make sure you guys head on over and subscribe to Style by Stevie Daytime on YouTube. Hello. Hello.
Stevie, you are fantastic. You look great. How
Thank
are
you.
you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you
I'm
doing?
doing well. Do you know that I have a cat named Stevie? Stevie Nicks?
After the rock singer, yes.
Yes. I just got her. I just got her from best friends in the village here in New York City. So thanks for having me on, and yeah, I'm psyched to meet you.
Such a pleasure to meet you too. So, how has 2025 been for you so far? How has
Uh,
the new year been kicking off?
Let me tell you, Stevie, I'm uh, like a rocket, like a rock and roll rocket show. I just can't. It's hard to put it into words, really. I'm terrified, and I like to be so excited that I'm terrified because that's when anything is possible. So, um, it's not just terror though; it's excitement and enthusiasm. I'm shooting a movie in Buffalo, in just under 6 weeks. I've raised $112,000. I went to South Africa. I mean, it's been a 3 year odyssey, really. And now the movie is being shot. And I'm sorry, I'm a little bumpy. I'm in the back of a car, but it's all good, man.
It is amazing. Yes, Lawyers Gone Bad, which is being directed, is now developed as a feature film in Buffalo, New York, which we'll talk about. But how I came to know you through your work on Law and Order SVU. So
Mm.
before we get to that, now also in additional to you coach hockey, you teach yoga.
Yeah.
So how do you find that balance with that and then acting as well too?
Well, um, let me, first of all, I'd like to say that the title of the movie has changed to One of the Good Ones, but we'll get to that. I see us all as having, God is good. Thank you, Nurse Chula. I have a strong belief that we're all many colors, male, female, black, white, um, many colors, many. And I don't need to say this to you. You understand these things as well as anyone, and so hockey is very masculine and very aggressive.
Oh yeah.
That's and yoga is very soft and very receptive. So it's the yin and the yang, and I get to do them both. Thank God.
And not only that, but yoga keeps you so zen and you have a type of energy because I did my research and I watched some of your interviews and you have such an energy where it's just like, wow, like relaxed, laid back. Do you get that all the time?
Oh no, are you kidding? I'm a maniac sometimes, like anyone. I have my moments, but I do meditate every day, and ideally, I meditate in the morning, um, which does smooth out the day, I have to say. And I do watch what I eat. I try not to spike my system with any chemical, whether it be refined sugar or what have you. And I do yoga, all the time. I'm always keeping my body moving and stretching, and I'm always breathing and being kind, being drinking water, the usual things. It's not that it's hard to do, but it's easy to talk about.
Absolutely. and Nurse Chula is seconding that because she agrees. And I agree also, too. It's important that we take care of ourselves and be gentle to ourselves as
Mm,
well. And welcome if you're just coming in. But again, how I came to know you was through Law and Order SVU,
mm.
FBI, and FBI Most Wanted. So before we get to that, because I'm holding off, I'm trying to stall and everybody wants to talk about it. But the beginning journey. What was the beginning journey for you like to get into acting? And at what age did you develop a passion for acting?
Well, my friend, I remember being 6 years old, and my neighbor
Wow.
was auditioning for a commercial, and I said, "Gosh, I want to do that." And I remember learning the lines, and my grandmother, my dear maternal grandmother Enos, uh, was so nurturing, so supportive. Um, I remember booking that commercial, and I remember when it aired, and then I didn't act again until college. I was a recruited hockey player, um, and I had an injury, and that really ended my hockey career. But I found acting, and that was that. You know, once I found that, I was all in.
And as we talk about it, that's the shows that I just called off, Law and Order and FBI, they require you to get physical. And I just discussed this with with my previous guest, Elijah, about actors doing their own stunts. So from you as another actor, a well experienced actor as well, you and Elijah both have experience in this. Have you ever, I asked Elijah this question, have you
Yeah,
ever had any injuries on set?
sure. So it's funny. I did an episode of Blue Bloods, in episode uh, one of the 10th season, and they were it was very physical. In fact, the director said, "This is your domain. You can do whatever you want. You can throw whatever you want. You can you can say whatever you want. Forget about the lines." It was a very unusual thing. He was also an executive producer on Blue Bloods, a really cool guy, and that got very physical. You know, they we were throwing each other around, me and the cops there. I was terrorizing a bodega, and and I did injure my thumb a little bit. You know, I'm not gonna lie, but it was worth it. It was worth it. It was fun. It was a great day.
And it's all to get that perfect shot because of the end result. When we go back and we watch the episode, it's shot so perfectly.
Yes, and there's Junaid. Junaid is my buddy who did what an amazing. It's a small world. Did made my pitch deck for Lawyers Gone Bad, which he doesn't know this, but is now called one of the good ones, and an amazing guy who did a great job from Pakistan. I love Junaid. Um, so yes, to get the perfect take, that's really what it's all about, Stevie. You know, it's all about love. I'm learning that any team succeeds, whether it be, you know, the 1980 Olympic hockey team, my team at one of the good ones. I'm building the cast and crew now, and I'm looking for love. I'm looking for people who can love and be loved, and can come onto the team because they love the material, because I love them, they love me, and we all love each other. It's really kind of a love fest, TV. You know what and all great things happen because of love. I was watching recently 30 for 30, the Jim Valvano 30 for 30 called Survive in Advance. You want to talk about love, you know. I saw the Buffalo Bills quarterback just talking about, you know, how much he loves his teammates, and it's all about how much they love each
Mm,
other, you know. So so getting that perfect take starts and ends with love.
absolutely. And how important is it for you to have great chemistry with your scene partner? Because I know when getting physical like that, when being on set and you're getting physical with your co-star, whether it may be Law and Order, Blue Bloods, FBI, having to go there or punch somebody or do something in that moment, how important is it for you to have chemistry with your scene
It's everything. I mean, look, not everyone's going to like me. I'm not going to like everyone, but some people it clicks. We just cast the partner, my partner in the movie. The character's name is Stu Foley, and the character is hard to cast. But I met an actor yesterday in New York City, and his name is Ron Barba, and we immediately he was it, because we just cracked each other up. Usually there's humor, when you have the same sense of humor, means same values, and you just love on each other and laugh with each other. The woman playing my love interest, Tesla Wolf, she's a Native American woman from Oklahoma, lives in Los Angeles. Beautiful woman who was in Maxim and has done Yellowstone and the series Yellowstone. I just love Tesla. In fact, I cast Tesla without an audition, because I just said this. She has the soul. It's really about casting souls and souls connecting with each other.
Exactly. Absolutely. Now, for your project that is coming up, Lawyers Gone Bad, and you said the name has since then been changed. This is based on the life of Vincent Scarcella. And
Correct.
if you guys don't know who he is, you need to do your research. So,
Yeah.
getting into character for this film, how easy is it for you to get in character to tell a story about someone this prolific? Or
Well, I'll tell you, Stevie. Gregory Peck used to take his scripts and divide um, the uh, the scenes into acting and no acting. Some scenes required, some acting, and some didn't. In the case of one of the good ones, and the character I'm playing, Dina Lessie, there's really no acting required. Dina Lessie is referred to in the movie as the bulwark between good and evil. They say his the antagonist in the film, my arch enemy in the film, says this guy thinks he's the bulwark between good and evil, and that's really how I walk around. Like, I really walk around um, wanting to be a part of the solution, hating corruption, wanting to expose it. Um, and you got to pick your battles, of course, if you feel that strongly about justice. But that's the way Dean Leslie feels. So this isn't going to be a stretch for me. I mean, I really want to keep my promises. That's a big part of this movie, is promises kept, and the power of a promise kept, and the damage of a promise broken. So I like to keep my promises. I really do. It means a lot to me. If I tell you I'm going to call you at 5, I call you at 5. And I know not everyone's like that, but I wish they were. And that's part of what's driving me to make this film, is to send the message that, listen, if you make a promise, you should keep it.
absolutely, absolutely.
And there,
Now you
I
shot
can't believe, some of the people. I'm sorry. I just saw uh, Dr. Ray O'Neill, my buddy, who's a part of the team also, professor of physics, and a wonderful actor who's doing a production of Fences actually right now in Tallahassee, Florida. A great actor.
and see, it's important that you create those bonds, those networks, because it will show on set. I've had co-hosts here on this platform, so I know what it's like having to balance out personalities firsthand and having to work with people. So it's important that you build up these bonds and these chemistry with your co-stars, as well as the people that you're working with, the assistant director, the assistant producer, the writer on set. Now,
Hmm.
you shot this trailer back in 2023. This is like we're coming off of the mist of the pandemic, because everything was shut down
Hmm.
in New York. So, what was it like shooting the trailer for
It
this
was
powerful?
amazing. I mean, when I got to Buffalo, in February of 2023, there hadn't been a production there in a long time. So they were,
Wow.
and they're always like that in Buffalo. It's a city of good neighbors. People are so kind. But at that time, there hadn't been something there in a long time. So they really rolled out the red carpet. Now it's blown up. There's a movie there called Yeti. But I just talked to Rich Walt from the Buffalo Film Office today, and they're just as great as ever. Um, so it it was an amazing experience. We shot. I ran a GoFundMe. I was, happily surprised at how many people love me and sent in money. Guys I went to college with, guys I went to prep school with. One guy I went to prep school with sent us a check for $1,400. I hadn't talked to John in 35 years, and he sent us a check for 14. I mean, stuff like that. Just life affirming stuff. Went to Buffalo. Everybody ate well. Everybody made friends. We finished early. And I remember seeing the rough cut, and it was so raw and so rich, emotionally rich. This is the very first cut the editor put together, and I was like, oh my God, there's something really powerful here. There's something really there's something really strong, a strong vibration was coming through the screen, and that's just, it's a magic of film and teamwork. I mean, film is the ultimate team sport.
Now, speaking of college, you were recruited by Brown University,
Yeah.
Dartmouth, and West Point to play Division college hockey, which again, you coach hockey as well too in yoga. So what was it like being recruited by Brown University?
Well, it's boy, you really do your research. I to tell you the truth, the hockey rink was my happy place when I was a kid. And when I walk into that rink, I still feel this way. And I smell the Zamboni, and I hear the shavings of the ice, and something just lights up inside me. And that's the way it was when I played hockey. And I mean, I just had the best coaches. They really changed my life. I remember when I was being recruited by Brown, and we went to Providence to play the Brown JV team, and I got all my gear on. I still get chills telling the story. I got all my gear on, and I went to the other end of the rink all by myself. And my coach, Mr. Thomas Eccleston III, Tom Eccleston, was like a second father to me. He found me. I don't know how he found me, but he found me at the other end of the rink, and he said, and this is a guy who knew me since I was 8 years old. He said, "Listen, I just want to tell you, you got a lot of feelings about this." And he said, "I just want to tell you to play your own game. He said, just play your own game and you'll be fine." And stuff like that. You just can't make that stuff up. We really loved each other, me and Mr. Heck.
And you also received your bachelor's degree in religious studies at Brown University as well
Mm.
too, in Providence, Rhode Island. So what was that experience like for you? Because I know your parents must have been proud for you going after your passion and achieving it. And you said that hockey, being in that hockey rink, was like your escape, your getaway. When you are
Mm.
playing a sport and when you're doing something, you find yourself in an escape. You take yourself away
Mm.
just instantly, take yourself away from
Yeah. Well, everyone has a zone of genius, Stevie. There's a terrific book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and he talks about the zone of competence and the zone of genius. So you're a good example right now. Like, this is your zone of genius. I mean, you've done your research. You're in your zone of genius. This is your Stevie zone of genius, right? Now, um, most people stay in their zone of competency because it's scary to leap, to take the big leap, like Gay Hendricks' book says, to take the big leap into the zone of genius. But what's life about if you don't do that, right? And so um, what was the question? I'm sorry, I
it.
can't.
What was your parents' reaction to you receiving your
Oh,
bachelor's degree?
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, well, my parents were very proud of me for going to school at Brown, and stuff like that. And and Brown is a great place, where they really do something extremely profound, which is, give students the chance to find their zone of genius. That's what it was. Brown's curriculum, at least the undergraduate curriculum, is designed to help you find and encourage you to, explore your zone of genius. And the way they do that is really amazing. They give you a chance to take every class pass fail, for example, so you don't have to stress out about grades. If you're a poet and you want to take a physics class, you don't have to worry about your GPA because you can take that physics class pass fail. Um, there are no core requirements at Brown, so you're not required to take like 12 units of science and 12 units of math, for example. You can really explore with your whole heart, and that worked in my case. I was able to explore with my whole heart and found my zone of genius, and that's a lot of that has to do with Brown University.
And not only that, but you also receive your master's degree in counseling as well too. And this is at the Loyola Marymount University. This is in Los Angeles. So again, studying, furthering your career. So what advice would you give to actors that are looking to study and expand within their career? Because I'm seeing stories where a lot of actors have went back and earned their doctors, their masters, their bachelor's degree,
Hmm.
and they have their accolades. Of course, they have their Oscars and everything, but to have something to fall back on is beneficial. So my next question for you is, what advice would you give to actors? Because I just even said that in my conversation with Elijah, with being a parent and finding that balance, even for those who are not parents, having to balance our family
Hmm.
and then your career as well too.
Well, this is a great question, and it's a very important question. And I would just say that most people live lives of quiet desperation, Stevie. I'm not going to lie. Most people, for whatever reason, they don't go for what they really want, and that's a shame because, like Jim Carrey says about his father, you know, you'll never know what's possible if you don't go for it. Um, I'm about to make a feature film for, $71,000. We're going to shoot 10 pages a day. When I shoot television, we shoot 8 pages a day. So I'm entering, this very thing. But it's like 6 months from now, if I don't go to Buffalo and shoot this movie, I'm going to sit in there and think, I wonder what would have happened if I had tried to shoot that movie. You know, I wonder, and I don't want to sit around and wonder what might have happened. So I would say if I had a child who wanted to be an actor, I would say, go for it, man. Go for it. Because if you're doing something you love, you've already won. Obviously, you have to be solvent. I have a solvency job. My job coaching hockey and teaching yoga is my solvency job. It's an actor-friendly job, so I can go shoot movies and come back. And that's what it's all about, setting up the circumstances so that you can work full time as an actor when something hits commercially. And sometimes it does, but you can't control those things. You just got to be happy in yourself, you know, be happy with yourself. And if you don't go for what you feel is right, you're going to be pretty unhappy, and that's not fun. So,
At all, at all. And speaking of going for whatever you believe in, you have some projects coming up, sir. Like some have already wrapped, they're in post production, and some are in pre production. So,
mhm.
out of all of your projects that you have been working on throughout the this year alone, which one are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm I'm doing a movie in Arizona in June with my buddy David Van Wee. It's called Wish Watch. It's a family film, and I'm playing a Scottish school principal who no one can really understand. And it's just going to be a lot of fun. I've been to Scotland and I love comedy. And the part is Principal Chandon. So I get to wear a kilt and bark at kids in a loving way. And it's just going to be a blast, you know?
Love to look. Thank you, Noli. Thank you so much. But
Yeah.
I can't wait to see you in this. We've seen you on, like I said, Law and Order, FBI, but this one right here, this particular role, it is seeing you outside of your norm because you played a plethora of characters. And Noli said, let's hear the accent, the Scotland accent.
You guys want to hear the Scotland accent? Okay, let me see if I can pull it up. Um, I give you a skeleton log. I give you a scalp at lug is I'm gonna smack you if you don't do what I want. Or guinea die dat, guinea die dat, which means uh, guinea die dat is like get 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 with the program. Guinea die dat. Or I also like uh, fizzy juice. Give me some fizzy juice, which is um, soda. In Scotland, they call soda fizzy juice. So it's
Oh my
fun.
goodness. And Noli says, that was great. It was. And that's exactly how they talk in Ireland and Scotland. That's exactly how they talk. And it wasn't difficult for you to get into character, to adjust to their culture and everything. Because they
Mm.
do, it doesn't sound like the average way how we're talking now. But for you, was it difficult for you to get into character for this project?
No, I think it's the soul of Scotland is very kind of dark humor. There's a lot of dark humor, and I really respond to that. And so no, and having been there helps too. I went to Edinburgh, so I know what it smells like and feels like there. Yeah.
And there we are. So 2025, we are here now. Your project, you are fixing to work on your film, the good ones. What can we expect from this project other than we explain that it is based off of the life of Vincent Scarcella? So, I mean,
Yes.
what can we expect with this upcoming project?
Well, it's a great question. So I would say that it's going to be funny. I think it's going to be really, really funny because the chemistry between me and Ron Barba is just something divinely inspired. So I expect people to laugh, um, and I expect people to cry. You know, and like Peter Falk said, the actor who played Columbo, you know, if you get him to laugh, you get him to cry, you're doing pretty well, you know. Um, and uh, and there's a message in there about keeping promises, as I said. Um, and I would say uh, just the director is amazing. Julie, her name is Julie Ohora. She wrote and co-wrote and is directing. She's so gifted, and I think it's going to look great, you know. Um, so yeah, I think it's and Buffalo is a character in the movie, the fortitude of Buffalo. You know, if you're watching football these days, you know that, or if you know anything about Buffalo, they were in, you know, 4 Super Bowls in a row in the 90s. They
Oh,
lost
yeah.
all four. Um, the snow, just the grit and fortitude of people in Buffalo, how they come together, the city of good neighbors. So I think there's also going to be a spirit of family, you know, of the human family, that we're all interconnected, and we really do affect each other, and let's not forget that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Noli asks, when is the release date?
Well, that's a great question. So we're shooting um, February 24th to March 5th. We'll need a few months in pre-production. I expect to have a completed film by December and to release it in early 2026.
All right. Make sure you guys are staying tuned and following. And Nurse Chula said that she followed you. Also, my next question for you is if you could give someone a star on the walk of fame in your life, who would it be?
The Walk of Fame in my life. You know, it's funny. I was just thinking about Bobby Orr, the hockey player Bobby Orr. You know, Bobby Orr was such a generational athlete. He was, but you never hear anything about him taking advantage of women or, you know, selling drugs, or you never hear about that. All you hear about Bobby Orr is that he was a nice person, and he was kind and loved to you know, children were always invited into the locker room. But he was so much better than everyone else when he was playing hockey, and still as humble and kind and honest as you can get. And I would, yeah, I've been thinking about heroes that I'm, you know, that I've learned about, and Bobby Orr is right now on my radar for that.
And she says he hides it well. Same, dope. That's a good schedule. And same, I follow him as well too. Sorry, not funny. I know. And also, my next question for you is what life lesson have you had to learn the hard way throughout your career?
The hard way, is that what you said?
What life lesson that you've had to learn the hard way?
The hard way. Um, well, it's a good question, Stevie. I would say that um, I tend to take things too personally, and that is a recipe for failure, actually, long term, because you know there's so many, taking things personally is just a hard way to live, and and you know, people say, well, you know, it really wasn't personal, and I just never believed that. But now as a producer, I'm seeing that there are many experiences, many examples of a part going to someone. Like right now, we're trying to cast actors in Buffalo because it is cheaper. We don't have to transport them from New York City or Atlanta, and
Yeah.
there. And so I just got a tape from my actor buddy in New York City, Bill Frankie, who's perfect for Gunther, my boss in the movie, and we're trying to get an actor in Buffalo. Um, to be that good, so we don't have to transport Bill Frankie to Buffalo. And he's, and it's like if we find someone in Buffalo who can do it, you know, as well or close to as well, Bill won't get that part. So that has nothing to do with Bill or his. But from when you're an actor auditioning, you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes, and if you take stuff like that personally,
Yes,
that's a recipe for quitting, actually.
absolutely, absolutely. And Noli says she says that art and the film incentives better in Georgia.
So it's a great question, and the answer is yes. And the reason is, in Georgia, you get your tax credit money in 90 days. In New York, New
Mm-hmm.
York is notoriously slow in paying the tax credit. They did pass a law in January to speed it up. They say it's now 12 to 18 months, um, but in Georgia, it's 3 months. So they are better. The Georgia tax credit is 30% at 500,000, and actually numerically it's better in New York because it's at least in Western New York where we're shooting in like Buffalo, it's 40% at 500K. So the percentage is higher, but the turnaround time is less. And and usually investors would rather just get their money sooner. So overall, I would say yes, it is better in Georgia.
Absolutely, absolutely. And she says, honestly, wow, that's still forever, 18 months. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's people don't like that. So that's why there's so much work going to Georgia. Right? There's so much work going to Georgia and Atlanta,
Yeah.
especially right now, and that has a lot to do with it.
Now, speaking of months, my next question for you is if you could adapt or adopt another perspective about your life, what would it be? Or just life in general. You could adopt another perspective.
Another perspective. I think I would just. I mean, I have a pretty good perspective now, but I think I don't think I don't think I think I got a pretty good perspective now, Stevie. To tell you the truth, is that a bad answer? I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty good at the moment. I mean, there are definitely things that I would do differently. I think, um, but even those things, I kind of had to go through to get the lessons. Like I got married, really I probably shouldn't have married this person, but man, you want to talk about a lesson. I mean, I have a dating plan now that I'll never abandon. Like, and I don't think I'd have that commitment to that dating plan if I hadn't gone through the marriage experience of that situation. Does that help?
No, oh, it was a good answer. And Noli
Thank
says
you.
it's a great question. And we try to give questions that make people think, that evoke,
Yeah.
that make them in a perspective where it's just like, okay, what was I thinking? This part of my life and this part of my life. And speaking of part of my life, what is your superpower? If you could have a superpower, what would that superpower be?
Well, I do have a clear answer to that. And I think my superpower is the first thing that popped in my mind is I don't give up. I really don't.
Mm,
I don't think about it a lot. It's just who I am. But I maybe it sounds like you are too. I just don't. If I feel called to do something and I feel like God is behind me, I I
yes,
I won't give up until it's done. Um, so that comes in real handy making a film, an independent film, um, and I think that's an important part of life. Like just if you love something, you got to keep going.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And I would want to live another week in your life just to better understand your struggles, Steve. I admire you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Noli. Thank you. And it's been challenges, but I still keep going. And again, even when people tell me no, this is my mantra that I live by. No is on spelled backwards. and I'm a Scorpio. So I'm very passionate about whatever it is that sets my soul on fire. I've always been the one, because I grew up with siblings. I have four brothers and I have two sisters. And out of all of my siblings, I was the one that was the most, I want to say this, giving my mom the most headaches. But in a good way, it was so worth it, because if we didn't, I mean, everybody has their own creativity and their own individuality. And that's what makes us so unique. So by me being outspoken or vocal about things, I think I embody that from my mom the most. She's a Libra. So that's where I get it from. The fight to keep going, the perseverance, the resilience to just keep bouncing back after tragedy, after so many things, and to still be happy, even through the sadness, through the pain or whatever. I get that resilience from my mom. So that comes from her no. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm feeling that. I'm. Your energy is very strong, Stevie. It's your chi in yoga we call it chi. Your chi is very strong. So I'm feeling that.
And I love you too, Noli. I love y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And that would be my advice to anybody. Like, don't give up. Keep going. There have been plenty of times where I've had roadblocks and obstacles in the way. And that's for anybody with, in any field. You're going to have roadblocks, you're going to have obstacles, but keep going. Keep going. The perseverance is there. And it's inside of you. It's inside of you to pull out that superpower. So that's why I had to ask, what would your superpower be? Mine's would be to keep going. If because we do get tired. We do get tired. Our bodies are like cars. When you keep going, a car runs out of gas. We have to fuel back up, rebuild ourselves back up. So I'm an honest believer of resilience, and just keep following your passions, your desires. If it's something you want to do that sets your soul on fire, go after it.
Yeah,
And that'll be my advice.
yeah, that's
Yes,
good.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
I need to hear that right now. I appreciate that because I'm in the thick of it now, right? Like I'm in the very thick of it. I'm still raising money, you know, pulling a rabbit out of a hat to make a movie with the money we have. So that's very encouraging. Um, and and I appreciate you mentioning that. Yeah.
yes, it's going to be stumbles, it's going to be roadblocks, it's going to be obstacles in the way, but we must keep going. And even with me doing this platform every single day, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, they're just like, how does she do it? And Nola asked me that question one day. She asked me, she said, girl, how do you keep, I remember her messaging me one day. She's like, how do you keep that resilience to keep going? Because there are days when I don't want to wake up in the morning, y'all, and get out of bed. It is so cold. But I'm just like, I can't let the viewers down. I can't do that. And it's a balance with having to take care of family, do this platform, make sure that I'm good. It's all about self-awareness. And that's what I was telling you guys, and I did my interview with Elijah, the very first interview, which is up now. We were talking about self-care and pouring into yourself. Make sure that you are pouring into yourself, because you can't pour from an empty cup.
Mm,
So it's important that if you're working on a project, now is the time to work on that project. If it's something that you want to build or manifest, go after it. And I tell people that all the time. One of my favorite sayings I always say, and I just came up with it
mm,
randomly, uh, live life through fire. So
mm,
it's something that sets your soul on fire, go for it. I always knew that hosting a platform or getting into fashion or dabbling in the world of beauty was something that I wanted to do. And I went for it. My mom was like, okay, because our parents have our reservations about all of us getting into the business. They say, you want to do what? You want to be a singer? You want to be a model? You want to host a platform? You want to do this? No, you're going to go to school and you're going to become a doctor. I want you to
mm.
go to school. I want you to go to college. My mom had that same mindset, but she's seen how passionate and persistent I was about it. And she was like, okay, let this child just go ahead and do what she wants to do. Let her do it, because my brother chose another direction. He chose to go into the military. I chose fashion. He chose he chose to go into the army. I chose fashion and beauty. I chose looks and glamour and all of those different things and whatnot. But it's amazing how each of us have collectively just formed our pursuits that we love, and our parents support us through it. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm. You're doing great, Stevie. I mean, you look great, you sound great, your skin is like shining. And what you say is true. And I get the feeling that when you're kind, you're good to people, and it really is true. I mean, that's really what the movie's about: is when you keep your promises, when you're good to people, when you're
Oh
kind,
yeah.
when you spread good energy, it comes back to you. And these days, I really think these days people are seriously questioning that. Like they're seriously questioning whether or not, if you do the right thing and keep your promises, um, it's going to come back. And let's not forget that that's just a physical law like gravity. Um, so my um, my car just got here actually, and so I'm gonna have to go in a minute or two. But this has been awesome.
So before we let you go, Tom, are there any words of encouragement that you would like to drop? Because I love your energy. We clicked
Yeah,
instantly when I messaged him, y'all. He was like, "Who's this woman? Who's this black woman messaging me?" so, so I'm like, your
I
energy
love you,
is
Stevie. I love
amazing.
you.
I love you too. We love Stevie. She's the best. I love y'all too. Y'all give me so much life. Y'all are the reason. And I said this yesterday when I went live. Um, I said, y'all are the reason why I keep going. Y'all bring me so much happiness. There are days when I don't want to get up, but it's my mom, my grandmother. I'm
Mm,
surrounded by all of these
mm,
amazing, powerful
mm.
women that keep me going and flourishing. So, for you, what gems would you like to give to the audience, to
I
just
just,
people in general
yeah,
giving up
no,
on hope?
I appreciate that. I appreciate. I love people so much, Stevie, just like you do. I just love people so much. And you know what? You know what comes to mind actually is the great actress Laurette Taylor. There's a
Oh,
great actress from um, her name was Lorette. There's a book by Larry Moss called The Intent to Live. If you're an actor or interested in acting, this is a must book. And he tells the story of Lorette Taylor. And the story of Lorette Taylor is that she was in a production and she was luminous. She was so brilliant, and everyone. But the two actors that she was in the production with were were getting terrible reviews, and they went to Lorette Taylor, and they said, "What? How are you doing this? How are you being so incredibly brilliant with these terrible performing partners?" And she said, "They're not. They're great. They're just having trouble showing it,
mm,
but they are
mm,
equally great." And I like to think about, especially these days where there's so much contention and so much outrage at each other in a way, around the world. And it's like, you know
mm.
what? We were all born in love. We were all born in love, and we learned to hate. We learned to hate each other, and if you just, like in yoga we say namaste, which is the love in me bows to the love in you. If you can just remember that that person who's being so hateful right now is actually love underneath the surface. And I know it's hard to imagine sometimes, but truly,
Yeah.
we are children of God. We were born in love. We learn to hate and be afraid and attack each other. But just remember that the sun is just on the other side of the clouds, and that is the same truth when it comes to people. And then your relationships can can transform if you just remember that they're going through something, but they're loved, but they're having a hard time showing it.
Yes. And I want to add on to that by you can't be hesitant about who you are. That is the final thought today, and it comes from Viola Davis. So shine. You guys shine. I want you all to shine. 2025 is going to be the most dynamic experience we've ever had. And I want you all to take advantage of your passions, your pursuits. If writing is something you want to do, go for it. If acting is something you want to do, there's courses, there's classes out here that can help you. So pursue it. Now is the time. There should be no excuses. And I tell people this all the time. There was my quote yesterday. A final thought, because I always give a good morning, wake up, motivation uh, quote. And I want you guys to remember this. Time is of the essence. So the time is now. Get into your passions that make you free. And I want you to remember that. So the film is called The Good Ones. And Tom, where can everyone follow you and check out more about the project?
One of the good ones. I'm posting on Instagram. I know you guys will follow me. I appreciate that, and I will be continuing to do interviews like this, and I'll be posting stills, behind the scenes pictures from the shoot. So follow me on Instagram. I'm there.
All right, Fashion Dolls. And thank you so much, Tom. I had such a great time.
That was fun. God
Yes.
bless.
And we will definitely love that. I would love to have you back again in the future. So we got to set this up.
Okay. Awesome, Stevie. You're awesome. Thank you.
You too. And Fashion Dolls joining me tomorrow. My brother K Tukes will be joining me tomorrow. It'll be a different time, 4:30. So make sure you guys head on over and subscribe to Style by Stevie Daytime on YouTube if you have not, so you can catch both shows. You guys got 2 interviews for today, back to back. I don't know how I did it, but I'm just gonna say what my mom always told me to say. But God. But God, we did it. I love y'all, and you guys be safe, be fabulous, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care, everyone.
Peace, everybody.